The J. Michaels Show.
It's episode 64 of The J. Michaels Show, and I have a great guest, a wonderful guest for you. This time, Kelli Maroney. We're going to be talking about Night of the Comet and several other things that she's been in. Let's say hi to Kelli. Hi, Kelli.
Hi. Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad to have you on the show. I'm so glad.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Shopping Mall, Night of the Comet, Zero Boys. Gee, where do we begin? I mean, you've done so much. I actually want to ask you about something else that you did.
Sure.
A show that apparently you like a lot, or liked a lot, called Face Down. Let's start there.
Yes.
Tell me about
sure.
Face Down.
Well, Face Down was something Tom Eberhardt, who wrote and directed Night of the Comet, had written this, and he said, I had you in mind for this, and I said at the time, Tom, nobody's gonna, I can't, they're gonna try to get somebody with a name, because it was the female lead, and it was about her. And so a couple of years went by. I did give it to a couple of people I thought might be able, anyway, a couple of years go by. I get a call, and I'm like in Big Sur, like thinking maybe I could go teach English in a foreign country. It was just like it was like I was having an existential thing. And he said, "Can you be down here tomorrow and be put on tape, because I can bring you. I've got Peter Riegert, Adam, Joe Montaigne, and I can bring you to Canada, right? Because normally you can't bring. They limit the American actors you can have,
right?
And I couldn't believe it." And he said, "But I've got a producer, and I want her to pick you, because if I just say it's going to be her and walk over her casting decisions, it will not go well."
Right.
And I said, "Okay." So, I do. I beat feet home, and I do this thing, and I still didn't know if she was going to pick me or not, but she did.
Uh-huh.
I don't know how many women they were still reading. And I was on a plane like the next day. And I was playing a schizophrenic, which was really, really fun for me. It's the best part I ever had,
Yeah.
The one with the completely different personalities. And that was so much fun. And I always thought I had no time to prepare that. But then on the other hand, had I had time to prepare it, I probably would have overthought it and, and added a bunch of stuff on that really didn't need to be there. So I always believe everything works out how it's supposed to work out.
Right.
And it was just my favorite one because I had so much to do, and it was so personal, and we shot in Canada, so it was a different vibe on they do things differently. The sets are, just a different vibe. It's less hurried and, they have to hurry too. It's not that. They can't, like Joe Montaigne used to say, these Canadians are so nice. I can't imagine what they ever fight about. There's no angry Canadians. What do they fight about? You got in front of me you cut in front of me at lunch. I mean, they have nothing, their attitudes are just, maybe that's what it was. Uh-huh. The attitude on the set. I don't know.
It's very different than the United States. Their whole attitude. Yeah,
it was at the time, for sure. And Catherine Murray Stewart, who plays Regina in Night of the Comet, was also Canadian. I'm from Minnesota. I grew up in Minnesota. I'm Canadian adjacent. Uh-huh. So maybe I just vibe with that better. I don't know. But anyway, it was a wonderful experience. And then I just really liked the way it came out. Tom wanted it to be film noir, which film noir, you automatically have to have an unhappy ending. And yeah, he's always trying to make an unhappy ending. He wanted an unhappy ending for Night of the Comet too, and they wouldn't let him do it.
Oh.
But this one, he was in charge, and everyone said, "Don't make an unhappy ending," because he's got me catatonic at the end. Just don't do that. An audience invests in these characters for however long it is. You owe them this, what's the word for it? You owe them a satisfying,
right,
wraparound, conclusion. So he didn't change it because this one is mine, and I'm not going to have it because I'm going to do a film noir. And he actually wanted it to be in black and white, but Showtime said no to that, or whoever said. And then he had that very discordant jazz music, which I mean, he actually listens to that stuff for pleasure. A lot of people, including myself, I find it a little bit unsettling to listen to for pleasure. But I think it's a really good. I mean, it really sets the tone, especially for times when I was Merrie or Meredith. Times when I was, I mean, it really went well with what was happening, changing from personalities to personalities. So thank you for asking that, because nobody ever sees it. I think they play it once in a blue moon. You know, it's never been made into a Blu-ray or anything like that.
Yeah.
So thanks for asking.
It was your favorite role, right?
Well, yes, it was. I mean, I got to do so much. I got to play two personalities, and sure.
So tell me, you were talking about music. What is your favorite music to listen to for pleasure?
Oh gosh. I can't think of one thing that I don't like, but one thing a lot of people don't really know about me is that I like punk, and I like metal, and I like, goth and stuff like that, and nobody believes that till they actually see it. Because they think of me like as that cheerleader in the 80s, and that's great too. I love 80s music. I can listen, I can and do listen to that all day long. I like all sorts of different stuff. And the people that play in whatever band they play in also enjoy other music besides what they're playing.
Right.
So I mean, a lot of people they don't think of it like that, but that is true. But I love the blues. I love oh gosh, I mean, I love classical music too. So it's a boring answer. I wish I had like a strong, but I kind of think that saying heavy metal and goth is probably enough for most people to digest.
Yeah. Do you ever dress the part, go out to parties or something?
Always, yeah. There's something up on Instagram right now where I had kind of a gothy outfit on. Yeah, I mean, there's pictures of me. Yeah, I mean, I don't have Kiss makeup on, but yeah, that's usually how I dress when I go out.
Well, what was your first role? How did you get started doing films and TV?
Oh, well, TV. I wanted to be an actress all my life because I don't know. It's the first thing I wanted to do. My mom loved the movies, and I used to watch them with her. Just watching her get so much enjoyment out of them, and watching her face change because she had a lot on her plate, and so to be able to do that, I thought I want to be able to do that for her, and for other people too, and the whole thing about connecting and people. I guess that's my life's purpose, or whatever you want to call it. And so I always wanted to do that, but it didn't seem plausible, and I didn't know how to do it. But at in Minneapolis was the Guthrie Theater, and it's a regional theater, but they bring New York actors in and stuff like that. And so I was going to go. I went to the summer program at the National. They had speech too there, National Shakespeare Company Conservatory, and I wanted to go because I had already tested out. My father was a teacher. Anyway, and so she said go because she'd already. I mean, she knew the things in her life that she wished that she had done.
Right.
And then I had a whole set of brothers and sisters that were all grown up when I was born, and she saw various things that people said, just do what you want to do. That's the main thing. Do what you want. And so she did. And then no sooner did I get to New York than I was on the phone going, all right. I was scared, I was like, I had $500 on me. I was too young to get a job or an apartment or anything. I was just waiting for school to start. And I couldn't find a place to live. And this woman said, I know somebody who's a casting director, and she's casting a soap opera, and they want Lolita, a Midwestern Lolita type. Why don't you go over there and do you have any pictures? I had one. And well, I mean, this story is so implausible, right? That of course I ended up getting the part, and God knows why. I had no idea what I was doing, but I think it was. I mean, had I been a more sophisticated actress, I probably would have vamped it up, like, oh, I'm supposed to be Lolita, you know. And you know, you can't play sexy, or you can't. I mean, like bald people don't play bald. You know what I mean? You have to. It has to come out of you, and people either decide if it's sexy or not. And all I was concerned with was, I was so scared. But the actor that I was auditioning, you know, he was auditioning me. Looked so tired. I patted him on the face. God, I've never seen anybody look so tired. I think that's really the key to any kind of acting work. Should you be nervous or anything, is to focus on the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess that read on camera, and they thought, well, that's what we're looking for, is somebody that you can believe that this character is going to ruin his life over, not, you know, because the character is like a doctor. He's pretty bright, and he's not going to fall for anybody, like, you know, prancing around in front of him. So there you go. That's how I got my first job. And then I thought, I thought, I don't know what I'm doing. They're going to fire me. I'll be damned if I get fired and I have to go back to Minnesota, you know, with my tail between my legs. It's not going to happen. And fortunately, so I just learned as fast as I could. Fortunately for me, the lady who played my mom on the soap, and she says, oh, it was selfish of me because your storyline was keeping me on the job. You know, that's my storyline. I'm going to protect it. But I think it had more to do with it that she was very kind. She taught me how to do it. Like, they'd want you to cry on cue. You know, it'd be like asking you, now right here, could you cry on cue for me right there, Jay?
I could probably do it if I had to.
See about the same, you know, I'm still looking around going, camera, right? But she taught me how to survive on that show, you know, and we created this character dynamic that the audience really responded to. I guess it looked real, you know, even though our characters were fighting tooth and nail. Underneath, we were, you know, best buddies. So,
right. And
I owe her the world, and I always say that I do. So,
I just love to listen to you talk about things that you've done. That's amazing. How long between that and Fast Times at Ridgemont High? I mean, how did we get from doing a soap opera to that?
Okay, so I was on the soap for like 2 years, and then they wrote the whole storyline up.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought, my agent said to me, okay, since you don't sing or dance, well, I mean, I dance, but not professional level, and you don't want to hear me sing. I don't sing. She said, you can't sing or dance, so Broadway's kind of out for you. So you need to get out to Los Angeles as fast as possible because, you know, I mean, when you're 5 years old, you start to age out. So you better hurry up. And so it just so happened that I was resisting that, you know, Fast Time, because they would come to New York and they'd put us on tape, you know. I mean, I remember being put on tape for different stuff. And Last Chance, I think I was put on tape for Last. Maybe not. No, that was. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, some of those movies I look and they're familiar to me. I think they put me on tape for that. So anyway, they came, and Fast Times people came, and they auditioned me and Phoebe Cates and Brian Backer, like over and over and over again one Saturday. We read the whole script a couple of times, and they ordered lunch for us and everything. And I thought, well, if I didn't get, I was reading for Stacy. If I didn't get this part, I don't know what to say. Well, I didn't get it. I didn't get it. I was like, how could I not? Oh my gosh. You know, that's so, because I would get really close to different stuff and then not get it. There was another one that I didn't get that I made myself sick over. But anyway, I'll tell you about this one first.
Sure.
So anyway, they call and they say, does she want to play the cheerleader? And I'm thinking, so far in my career, I've played 2 juvenile delinquents, you know, that basically are horrible human beings. And they see cheerleader. I don't know. Now I look at it and I think, of course they saw a cheerleader, but I didn't see it in myself. But anyway, so I paid my own way to come out here and do that part last time, and it was the smartest thing I ever did. Because yes, people were saying Universal Studios cannot afford to buy you an airline ticket, but there's a thing in movies called local hire, and you can only hire so many people and fly them around. And then for the supporting roles and stuff, it tends to be local hire, which means you have to be from there. And if you're not from there, you have to be able to stay with your sister or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're not going to fly you or put you up because they don't have that in the budget. But if you want to come yourself, we'd like to have you do it. And so I did. And it was, we were all so serious. We were thespians on that show. People say that must have been like a wild set. Only if you counted in passion for the craft was it a wild set.
There wasn't a lot of joking around?
No. Oh, no, everybody was serious as a heart attack. When I had to go look at that, when he goes, the human heart, and he pulls it out, I actually went to the library and looked at pictures of cadavers so that I would have an appropriate reaction. And what does she actually see? That's how serious we were. And we're all that serious, pretty much. I can't speak for everybody else, but, we didn't meet Sean Penn until after the movie was over. We were working with Spicoli.
And your cheerleader costume from the show. Oh, I'm sorry. Your cheerleader costume from the show is now in the museum, right?
Yes, isn't that great?
I know.
I would have never known. They don't call you up and say, by the way, or anything like that. But somebody was visiting here and they took a picture and they said, so we're doing the Universal tour because we're tourists. And here's your outfit. And at the time, it was just my outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, is there a name tag on there? And he goes, yeah, Cindy. I went, that's my uniform. I couldn't believe it. And then I understand. I haven't been to see it. I really should. But from that time, I guess it's grown and they've got another outfit. So, they made it more like a whole, like there's Dina's there too. I don't know if her name tag's on it, but they made it like a whole Fast Times football thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have pictures of it. Because they sent it to me.
So you've not been there. You weren't there when they put it in the museum.
Oh no. Those football uniforms and they were real. They were the real deal. Mm-hmm. And so the minute we were done with them, wardrobe was there taking them back because those jackets were awesome, and they would have all been gone. Everybody would have pilfered one of those jackets.
Yeah.
No, the second, and then because there are certain things that Universal wants to keep, that they recognize that even if it's not part of history, they should keep it.
Yeah.
I don't think that they knew it was going to be in the museum, but they keep stuff.
Well,
that was one thing that they did.
This wasn't the only cheerleader you played, because in Night of the Comet, you were also a cheerleader carrying a newsie, right? So tell me about Night of the Comet.
Okay, so Tom Eberhard had seen Fast Times, and he goes, you know who I want for this? It's somebody like really annoying, like you can't wait for them to die, like that cheerleader in Fast Times. I went, well, we actually can get you that cheerleader from Fast Times. And then once we, but now, I don't know if it was, I think it was before I even came on board. The producer, because I said Tom always wants to do noir, He wanted to be that Kathy and that Reggie and Hector found a baby. He wanted a serious, ending. And the producer said, "Au contraire, we're not doing that." So he said, "If you kill that character, you're going to betray your audience." And he gave him the speech like, "You can't do that to an audience, and you can't." But ever since like the dawn of storytelling, if there's a wedding at the end, it's a comedy.
Right.
It's just one of those things. And so although we didn't have weddings at the end, we were paired up, Yeah. And so that makes it a comedy. He said, you can't kill that character. People will walk out and they'll hate you. And so that's how I popped out of the trunk instead of croaked.
So you were trying your best to be as annoying as possible in that role?
No, I wasn't, because then after, so that's what he said. And then he said, well, I needed a brunette because they have to look alike. And I thought, even then, at first time I heard that, I thought, have you ever heard of hair color? You know? But that's right. Heather Langenkamp got really close to that part. And it's funny because across town they were auditioning for Nightmare on Elm Street, and I read for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I got, and I would say, don't feel bad for Heather because she got the franchise, and I got a little independent movie that it's not equal. So, but anyway, so that's, I ended up being on. I don't know how I ended up getting cast. I guess because I was kind of wisecracking. But it was written that way.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I naturally kind of talked the way Tom had written it. But once I got the part, he was like, okay, so I want you to, he had a whole different, he's a slippery guy. He had a whole different set of things that he wanted me to do. He said, now I had the idea, this is going to be like, a dinner date.
Go ahead.
My Man Godfrey. And you're terrible. Don't imitate her. But he said, have you seen this movie? I said, no. So I went over and I watched the movie with him. He goes, don't impersonate her. That's not what I'm asking you. But you see how she's like just tripping through the whole script like that? I said, yes. He said, do that. I was like, okay. Okay. I mean, you can see sometimes he's got my feet hopping up and down and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you would have never known that he ever had any other idea about it. But, yeah, where did he come up with this at the last minute? My Man Godfrey, if he was thinking noir, but his thoughts are that go that fast, And he would always say, he said, I didn't know what I wrote until I saw you guys do it, and I went, oh, I didn't know that. And I hear that a lot from writer directors. I go, I didn't even know what I wrote until I saw the actors do it, and I went, oh.
Well, it doesn't come alive until it's on screen. Yeah. Till you do it in front of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there could be that meaning to that line. I didn't know that they were going to bounce off each other like that.
Yeah.
And it was just weird because everybody says, well, how did they get Catherine Mary Stewart and I to, we didn't even read together. So, yeah, we didn't even read together. There was they usually they have like an act off. I can't think of anything else to call it. Now they call it,
what's a table read, right?
Well, no, table read's the first time you read it. It's it's to see if you get along. I'm not charismatic, but
right.
You know what I mean.
The characters have to blend. They have to be. They have to work together. Chemistry.
Chemistry. Yes, it's a chemistry read. Thank you. I only had half a cup of coffee. That's probably what. The chemistry. They didn't do. I mean, but they didn't do that. Mm-hmm. There was so much less fear in the 80s. Everybody went, yeah, you know what? They'll be fine. I always say, if they were doing that today, we'd still be sitting there doing chemistry reads because they wouldn't. They'd be afraid to make a decision.
Well, you and Catherine are still friends even to this day, right? Y'all have a lot of chemistry together.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. I used to think maybe it's because she was Canadian and she's from Edmonton. But, she lived in Los Angeles and she was a professional actress at the time. And that maybe I was from Minneapolis. Maybe we had, it was a regional thing because we couldn't explain it. It was just like, but we were also both on soaps, and the way that at the time there was they had quite a lot of younger people on the soaps. And so when we came out to do low budget movies, we were, there was no doing it again on the soap. If you screwed it up, they kept on going. Right. So, so our attitude would be like, we get to do it again. We only expected to get one take, and we were, I mean, if you didn't show up on time and know your lines and all that stuff so that they didn't have to stop for you, you didn't keep your job. So we come on, we're these kids, and everybody's like, this is a dream coming true. How did they get them to do this, right? It was fear. It was all fear.
Wow.
But everybody that I worked with back in those days, though, was, I mean, they know what they were doing. I can't think of one time we had newbie, we're going to have to dance around. Everybody, I mean, there's something about it. You just get you know what together when you know you're going to have to do that. I mean, the first time I realized that everybody in America could potentially see my first time on film. What? Can't I have like a practice or something?
Well, do you have any funny stories or something comical that happened while you were doing Night of the Comet?
Oh, let's see. Well, plenty of weird stuff happened. Like they couldn't. This didn't happen to me though. I mean, when we were shooting at that Bullocks for the mall scene.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of things happened. Like there's a problem with the sound. They couldn't hear Wooly, so he had to develop that voice so that the mic would pick it up. That's how he doesn't obviously talk like that, you know. And since he's kind of come back around, and occasionally he does stuff with us, and they all want him to say, "I'm not crazy. I just don't give up," you know. Which he will do for them. But he came up with that voice on the spot because otherwise they couldn't hear him. And then we break for dinner, and I'm out there in a robe and rollers and everything else. And people, rightly so, because we were downtown, thought that that it was like a homeless thing, and they just got in line with us. And I said, "Well, feed them. I hope they fed them." They got us. They whisked us away. I don't know what happened, but yeah. We sure as hell look just the same as they did. But yeah, it was odd because it was at night, so that we could more easily make it look like there was nobody around.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, things are funny at the time, but they're not necessarily going to be funny to somebody else. That's why I always dread that question. Any funny stories? I go, to us it was funny. I don't know if it's going to be funny to the crowd here.
Kind of, you had to be there.
You had to be there. It's all you had to be there. Yeah. And a lot of times it was funny because you're exhausted and you're punchy, and it was like you couldn't believe that something else went wrong. And you just started laughing.
Well, speaking of mall scenes, you ended up in Chopping Mall,
Yeah.
another show. Let's go into that. Tell me about how you got that role.
Okay, so I was shooting the Zero Boys. We shot that first, and I got this call. They want you to go in and meet on this movie called Robot. And I had not been home to bed because I was coming off the set to make my appointment. And so I was exhausted. So I met with Jim Wynorski, and he said, "Come on back. I want you to read for Roger and Julia Corman." And so I did. But in the meantime, I got some sleep. And all of a sudden I realized, wait a second, this is Roger Corman. And, and I got nervous, and he pulls me aside and he goes, "What's the matter with you?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "You were so relaxed when I met you, and now you're like nervous," because they worry about that because you got to carry the movie. Right. And so if you cannot scare these people, like if you're nervous, they better get nervous is how they feel like, even though it's not the case. Even though when you get there, you're going to be fine. They don't want to see that. They want to see that you've got it all under control, and they can, stop freaking out. That's your main job in an audition is everything's fine. Nobody's losing their jobs. It's going to be great. It's basically, if you can bring that to them in an audition, you're probably halfway there, at least. But actors don't know that. So I think we're starting to get it now, but we didn't then. And so I just got nervous because I didn't want to do the wrong thing. which is why anybody gets nervous. They don't want to do the wrong thing. So I almost didn't get that part. There was another actress. Hey, my cats are growling at each other. There's another actress that almost got it, but she was Mormon, and I guess I didn't see all the variations of the script, apparently, because I guess in one version it was a little raunchier, and then Alison swore. I can't imagine Alison swearing, but at that time she did, and they turned it down. And so then Jim got to cast me. That's how I got it. I almost didn't even get it, yeah.
Alison was the character's name, right? Alison Parks in Chopping Mall. That was your character's name?
Yes.
Yeah. So you went from zombies to killer robots. Do you have a lot of fun working with special effects when they have things like that in a movie? Do you like that?
I do, and I love doing the action stuff. The whole time during Chopping Mall, I was going, maybe I can be like an action actor after this. Because there's a lot of running around and stuff. Yeah, I really do, and I mean, it was practical effects too. It was like a real spider, it was a real snake, it was, I really do. Most of the time, you're selling. Hey. So sorry. There's a World War III going on behind me. Most of the time, you're selling the special effect because,
right?
Like if you lean on it, it might fall down.
Yeah.
So don't lean on it. Like you're running, you got to beat feet away from this killbot, but it can't really move that fast. So pretend like you're beating feet. Pretend like you're running really fast. So you got to learn to run in slow-mo, which fortunately for me, I had to do on the Zero Boys. So they weren't mad at me because when I was on the Zero Boys, I didn't understand. When there's a camera, it's following you on what they call a dolly. It's following you. And there's no point in following you if you're going to get ahead of it. And it really makes them angry because they have to set up the shot and everything. It's like, why can't actors understand this? So I had a lot of practice on the Zero Boys. So I knew exactly what they meant for me to do when I got to Chopping Mall, which was great. It's fun to fake slow-mo. So, yeah, I really do like that stuff. I don't, the blood, I must tell you, you don't want blood on you. It's sticky.
Yeah.
It's cold. And there's it's a kind of like a cold, like if you've got something wet and sticky on you, it's worse. And you don't want that on you because once you have it on you, you probably are going to have it on you for like hours.
Are you comfortable doing the horror genre?
Oh, well, I'd have to be.
You've done a lot.
Yeah. Well, I always say, horror. You don't pick horror. Horror picks you. Right. And it's the fan base. They're extremely warm and unlike no other, in that everybody's kind of like, we're kind of like a misfit in a weird way. It's like we recognize each other. And at some point or another, people have felt like they didn't belong, or there's something that it taps into there. And also, I've done a couple of documentaries on mental health and horror because when they first started to realize, hey, a lot of people working with mental health issues watch horror movies. How does that work? That surprised even them. And so they started to study it, and it self-regulates. There's many, many reasons. I feel so honored because Chopping Mall and Night of the Comet in particular, people watch as comfort movies. Now, we did not see that coming, did we?
Right.
And that means everything to me because you think everyone thinks they're making a goofy movie, and secretly you did something that helped other people.
Yeah.
Haha.
Yeah.
And they're back.
I have heard friends tell me that they binge watch The Walking Dead because it's calming. And I'm like, it's zombies eating people. This is calming to you?
Yeah, as far as mental health and horror goes. I mean, I remember when I was people would say, did you want to get into horror? And no, I wanted to be Meryl Streep. You want to go as what you perceive as the highest you can go. But then I remembered my mom let the TV run, and Betty Davis was on, and Hush Hush, Sweet Charlotte, and of course, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and all that stuff. And I ate that stuff up. And then we had horror in the over the weekend, and I loved all the Frankenstein and Dracula, all the black and white movies. So you could say I was studying up to be in horror, you know, that and the sitcoms. I mean, I also really like to be funny. So, but I think that I could see myself. There was a clear path there, but I just didn't know what it was. And soaps, they're heightened as well. You know, both genres run on emotion. You know, it's visceral. I think that's why I naturally gravitated towards it. And you know, if I'm going to be in a scene, I'd like to go balls out just for the heck of it, because why not? You're there anyway. You know, you got to do it anyway. You know, how about giving it everything you got? I don't know. What an idea. Let's try that. But a lot of times things are. Huh?
Tell me, who is your favorite actress? Who do you look up to? Who inspires you?
It was always Betty Davis. And I think it was just because she was so different, you know. Yeah, I think it was Betty Davis. I mean, you know, I admired other actresses as well. Susan Hayward, I admired her, and you know, everybody loves Marilyn Monroe. I'm trying to think who was like more contemporary. Those are from the old movies I used to watch. I'm trying to think who was more contemporary that I thought was really good. I mean, I'm a fan of a lot of people today too, and I've always loved Anthony Perkins. Anthony Perkins too, but Anthony Hopkins. I've always loved his work, and just anytime I see somebody that really, I don't, you know, you it's so when somebody's just has really found the character in themselves, and there's a sense of enjoyment and danger and pain, all mixed together, and it's just. See, that's what I always wanted to do. It changed my mom's face when she watched it. That's what it all comes back down to. You know, how do you affect other people?
Yeah.
And how we connect.
Yeah.
And we spend most of our lives hiding it. Almost all of our lives hiding it.
Right. Jamie Lee Curtis, you know, she did a lot of those B movies, horror movies in the 80s, and now is, you know, doing huge movies and things like that. Is she one of the ones that inspires you?
Oh, sure. I mean, not specifically. I wouldn't, you know, but of course. I'll never forget seeing Halloween. That was the most frightening thing I'd ever seen. I thought, who let me watch that? You know, whenever I see something scary, I go, why did you let me watch this? That comes from when I was a little girl and I saw The Birds. And I went into the kitchen and said, why did you let me watch that? You know, the head pecking thing.
Yeah.
Especially.
Hitchcock.
Yeah. But I was speechless walking out of Halloween. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, people would assume that you've done, you know, scary movies yourself, that it wouldn't affect you because you know how movies are done. But it does.
I wasn't an actress yet when Halloween came out.
Yeah.
It's a little bit before my time. I wanted to be. But no, I was still back in. Oh, no, I was still back in Minnesota, and they still talk like this, too.
Well, you've done a lot of TV shows. You did Murder, She Wrote. What other TV episodes have you done?
Well, I did. I was on Ryan's Hope for like 3 years altogether, and then One Life to Live. I took over for the character Andrea Evans. She was a very beloved actress, so I had no intention of stepping in there for her. I was just covered. Let's see. Oh gosh, I did quite a bit of guest stars and stuff like that. It was fun. I mean, it was back then. It would be like, would Kelly like to do this? And so as a result, I didn't get to meet the casting people, and so now it affects me because they don't know me. You know, like as if they try to, like, this is a long time ago anyway, so it's just new people. But at the time, it was like I wasn't getting to build any relationships with them because I never met them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I did. I really enjoyed doing it. It was different for me because I was used to being on, like, one show.
Mm-hmm.
And that's great because it's like almost like having a regular job. But doing episodics as a guest star, you go, do I get to work this week? Do I not get to work this week? Do I get to work this month? Do I not get to work this month? And you're a freelancer, and it takes a while to understand that and to, I am a freelancer. I've always got to be hustling for my next thing. It's almost like you own your own business.
Yeah.
But see, they don't look at it this way. I mean, they look at it this way now, I think. But there are a lot of things that they do to help actors get work and to communicate what it is that is needed for them to get work. We didn't have any of that.
Right. So how do you handle dry spells where there's nothing going on?
Oh my gosh, not very. I mean, we don't handle it very well, just like anybody else.
Yeah.
Am I kidding? We don't handle it. Well, like for now, there's the business is changing, and there's a great deal of the unknown, and it makes people nervous, and
and it doesn't pay what it used to.
No, it doesn't,
Yeah.
and I don't think it will. I think we have to rethink, especially, they thought they were golden with these Marvel movies and like huge movies coming out, but when you start to lose money on those, and you don't have a backup. I mean, for a long time, you could still do movies for a couple of $1 million, and there was still room for them. But then all of a sudden, they didn't make those anymore either. It was just all huge budget. I have no idea what happened to the marketing and counting system in Hollywood, and I wouldn't pretend to know, but something messed up.
Where do you think Hollywood is going now? What do you think is next?
I think probably it's safe to say that those systems are not coming back the way they were. And should they? Probably not.
Yeah.
It's a different time, and I think it's probably going to go smaller companies doing more of their own stuff. I mean, everybody's now has accepted the fact that you got to basically wear 6 hats. If you want to be in a movie, you got to write it yourself. You got to produce it yourself. You got to direct it yourself. You're responsible for getting the money. Everybody knows now that nobody's going to come along and hand them a job.
Right.
Or very rarely. And if it is, it's, they're not going to hand you your golden opportunity.
Yeah.
That you have to come up with that yourself. It took us a while to do that because they taught us to be very passive and, don't be pushy and, don't. A lot of things, as I'm sure you know, that they teach us they come full circle and they're no longer true at all.
Right.
As I know you probably have lived through that a few times too.
Well, I had a guest on, Don Roth. He writes, produces, directs his own stuff. I mean, he's written horror books, and now he's also making films and casting them and everything. And so, I understand what you're saying. It's all moving in that direction.
Yeah, because otherwise we'd never get anything done. And it's a weird time right now, too, because people are starting to go, you have to distribute it yourself now, too, because the distribution, so many people have gotten screwed on that, like unfairly compensated. And, you do this movie and you end up, 2 or 3 years later when it's out and you've made like $6,000 on it. You can't live on that.
Right.
The producers, I mean. So we got to figure out a way to make this. Because right now, I mean, I heard somebody say this yesterday, and it's kind of, I mean, we're in a phase right now where basically movies, the entertainment industry of movies is a hobby, and we all have to get we're going to all have to get grown-up jobs and then just do this for fun because the vast majority of people, they're just not. And then I think, like I always thought, which is how I got working in the first place, is yes, but there's always people that make money during those times. People got rich during the Depression. It's like one time, the first time I saw the Walk of Fame, I was walking along and I said to my friend, she was my neighbor, and I said to her, look how many stars are still open. There's plenty of time for me to get a star. Look how many of them don't even have names on them yet. She goes, only you would look at it that way.
You're a glass half full kind of person, yeah?
Yeah, and then I wondered why they cast me as a cheerleader, I don't get it. No, I think that's where we're going, and I think it will be smaller, but I think as a result, people will start doing more what they want to do unless, I mean, the marketing people got in there and they marketed the crap out of everything until it was, well, they won't like that, or they won't like this, or, oh, you said that people were going to like this kind of movie, but they didn't, so you're fired. And it just got all like nothing to do with making movies.
Right.
It's all making money and with mixed results. But they would try to predict so that people were always losing their shirt every time they made something, which that's reasonable to ask.
Sure.
So now we're kind of in the Wild West. The new thing are these verticals.
Yeah.
Which, have you seen them?
Yeah, they're little shorts, and they're shot up and down rather than widescreen, and it's weird. I find that
they're real short. They're real short, and it's like it's. I feel like it's admitting, you know what? Nobody's going to go home and turn on their TV set. They're on their phone.
Right.
Okay, so make something on their phone, and they have no attention span, so make them short.
Exactly.
And I just feel like we gave up.
Yeah, we quit.
I do. I do. This is giving up. Come on.
Yeah.
And then, of course, some people are going to make a lot of money off of them, and other people are going to make nothing off of them.
Right.
And I knew some of the early adapters the actors that thought, at least this is a job and stuff like that. And I guess it all depends on what set you're going to be on, and
Yeah.
Again, there is not money like there used to be.
It's the influence of social media on everything now, because people can take their phone and make a little, like you say, a little short 5-minute, 3-minute, 2-minute video, post it, and make money off that rather than it being a full-fledged movie. And that's one of the directions.
Well, the thing was too is, but part of getting cast is they would check your following. How many followers do they have? Are they an influencer?
Yes.
And that was like a dirty trick. But what they found out, interestingly enough, when they cast an influencer or two, is that they started to use that. The people online did not follow them.
Right.
To a different medium like that. Like they had rabid fans on, say, TikTok, but they didn't follow them onto, a network. So I think that's when they really went, oh man, we better just, it's this thing.
Yeah. Do it directly on the phone.
It's scary too, because, a lot of people who love film will say to you, please don't, and this was going on like 20 years ago, please don't watch it on your phone or your computer. Please see it like as it's meant to be seen on a screen. Exactly. And I don't know how that's ever, Well, but I think we're in flux, and we'll find out, but anybody who says they know exactly what's happening doesn't know exactly. There's no way to know. We'll have to see. We'll just have to see. And I think we're going to be that's just one curveball we're going to get thrown.
Do you have like a side hustle? Is there something else you're doing?
I better get one. I've been looking around, and I always wish that I had been more of an entrepreneur and had a couple of, because they say you need 4 or 5 sources of income, because if one bellies up, you're not. And I just, and you can't really count on working for other people. So it best be you, Right. It took me a long time to understand all these things. But I had a point. My point, and I did have one, was, yes. But on the other hand, with all this, there's unrest and people are nervous, yes. But you know what? They were also nervous when talkies came in.
Yes.
And yes, people lost their careers because their audience didn't care for their voice.
Right.
And they got real nervous when TV came in. And yes, movies took a huge hit when TV came in. But they're still here.
Yeah.
And we will adjust to this like we've adjusted to everything else because people need stories. And I don't even think AI is going to thwart us. I think when push comes to shove, I think, spoiler alert, real humanity is going to win.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think everything is going to actually go back to this idea of having, something that you filmed with actual people in it. Mm-hmm. And there'll probably be two different things: the AI stuff and then the real stuff, and people can choose between the two.
Yeah, it's like Guillermo del Toro was saying. To the people who love AA and want to see that, great. Mm-hmm. Go. Enjoy. I'm not talking to you.
Right.
That's fine. There's room for both, or there will be eventually, Mm-hmm. And I think that we're going to see what's exciting about it is the people that are adapting to this, because you have to be stupid to keep doing this. Let's face it. You have to be like something's wrong there because there's really no point in chasing something like this down because if you want to have a comfortable life. However, the people who are lifers, and by this time I think almost everyone I know is a lifer. Mm-hmm. We'll figure out a way, but the thing that we loved about it in the first place was the connection, the human connection, and the artistry of it, and mm-hmm. We will carry that, and it will still exist, and it will find its own form, and the people that want that, and I think it's going to be the majority of people, because, it's just, you can make something really cool and watch it for 5 minutes. That's great, but it's not the same thing as what we're doing.
Right.
It's not going to probably make you cry.
And there's another aspect
that needed to come out that wasn't going to come out unless you watched that scene, but it needed to come out of you.
Right.
But you didn't even know that because you're busy hiding it. But then you see it in a movie and you realize other people experience it, and it's a cathartic thing. It's just, it's like horror. It gets all the fear out of your body, which we need to do. Mm-hmm. And it self-regulates, and we need to see what other human beings are really are going, that we're not by ourselves, that we're all pretty much the same, and see how it's the whole reason. It all goes back to, why do people tell stories around the fire at night, Mm-hmm. It's just still the same thing. We just got it, we're real fancy now, but it's still the same thing. Mm-hmm. So, that's, that I think the people who are in film will just continue to be in film, and we'll figure it out.
Well, another aspect of that is, if there is an AI film and it has a famous character in it, you'll never go to a Comic-Con and meet that person. But it's wonderful to be able to go to some kind of convention and meet the actor or actress that's in one of your favorite shows. We need that connection, not only to the character, but to the person behind the character.
And that's what marketers and business people and accountants always miss. Mm-hmm. That very thing.
Yeah, they're looking at money, and they're not looking at people, the effect.
That will never go away.
Yeah, that will always be there. Well, I had one more thing I wanted to ask you about, and that was playing Tammy Faye Baker on HBO's True Blood.
Oh, my God.
How did you prepare for that character?
Well, I didn't know. They said, don't tell her who it is. But they were making me up. It's not. It was, there was another one, and she passed away. But she was very much like Tammy Faye. Mm-hmm. What was her name? Crouch. Jan Crouch. Mm-hmm. That's who it was. And it was because he was, channel surfing at night, and he saw her with her show and everything. And that's how you end up being... I never parody. Mm-hmm. And as a matter of fact, I didn't even know who I was. Mm-hmm. And it was just really, really quick. But at the time, it was supposed to be, a recurring character, and they took pictures of me and my drunk husband like, in case that they ever wanted to shoot the show. And I mean, like, well, the stuff that you would have, but it never did. And, honestly, when we tried to introduce the guy who was the Fellowship of the Sun. I mean, if you're going to go with Christians and vampires, like human Christians and vampires, who's going to win? It's really the vampires are like so out, so over, well, they've just got Christians are outnumbered and they have no they have no defense against vampirism, so it wasn't really much of a thing. So I just went in, and it was something about the way I said, oh gosh, because the way they shot it, you didn't even hear me say it. Well, you heard me say it, but they didn't make a big deal out of it. Praise Jesus. And every time I said that, everyone was on the floor. So that's how I got the job. And then you can't even tell. Yeah. That will happen a lot. You know how people will say if they're on a show and then they got cut out of it altogether.
Yeah.
That's what happens. Is somewhere along the process, that was important to the story, but when they had to start cutting stuff, you can only have what's advancing the story forward, and you have to cut out everything that's there because you like it, because for time and so that it's not so confusing and all over the place that the audience can't follow it.
Right.
So they didn't end up recurring that at all, but I wish that they had, because that show was a hoot. And it was early on too, so I said, the other actors really didn't know what was happening either. Like, I think I'm going to be that. I think I'm turning into that dog, and that was a neighbor's dog or a relative's dog that he first turns into. And that was the episode that I was on. I said, he goes, "Is that stupid?" I go, "That's really cool." And then years later, he's turning into everything. But the first thing was that dog, and then, I don't know. It's fun to watch a show like get on its feet like that, and then where's it going to go? See, you can't do that with AI.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. I mean, because the other people are informing it. Because I heard, of course, I can't think of anybody's name. If you're going to tell a story, tell the actor's name. He was calling her a hooker that day, and I went, "Wow, that's." And he called her hooker for if that was just something he called people. But I remember him introducing that. That was not in the script. That was him. He made it up. I mean, that was he just created the way he talked to that other character, and it was a hoot. But it wasn't. I can tell you, it was not in the script.
Wow.
He made that all. That was all him.
Yeah. Kelly, I could talk to you all day. I know you got things you have to do, but I mean, Nightcaller, Scalper, the deep ones, the old. Just there's so many things that we didn't touch on, and I would really like to. Maybe I'll have to have you back on again.
I'll be happy to come back. That'd be great.
All right.
That'd be great, because some of these other ones are funny and for different reasons.
Well, I try to hush up and let you talk, let you tell your stories.
You're a great interviewer. No, and you got stuff out of me that I didn't plan to say, so that's always good too.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. It was really, really fun, and thank you everybody for watching. And I really appreciate people like caring about my work. Keeps me going, and I really, really love my fans. So anytime I get a chance, I say thank you.
Yeah. Well, we absolutely love you. See you next time.
Bye.
Goodbye.